Lesson 8-H, page 275, part 3. Here we're looking at unit fraction. A unit fraction is whenever the numerator is 1, has the value of 1. And here we can read that one way to find a fraction of a number is to use a unit fraction. A unit fraction is a fraction with the 1 in the numerator, so the top number. You can also use a diagram to help you understand the problem. What I've taught you in the past is to take a look at this. Over here it's asking what is 7/8 of 32. Now you can figure out this out in many ways. Let's go to the next page and we'll draw this out, and I can show you 2 or 3 different ways to find what 7/8 of 32 is. So now let's go back to our page. It's asking us to solve number 1 to 6. What is 1/5 of 75? Let's use any of the 3 methods I showed you. For this one, I will use, let's zoom in. For this one, let's use the multiplication. It'll be simplest. So we turn this into a multiplication, turn the whole number into a fraction. We see if we can cross-reference this way or this way. Well, we already have a 1 and a 1. That's the lowest I can get. How many 5s do I have here, and how many 5s do I have here? Well, I do know that here I have 1 5, so I'll write 1, and here I have 15 5s. So 1/5 of 75 is going to be 1 times 15, 15. And then 1 times 1, well, that's 1, but I don't have to write it 15 over 1, because 15 over 1 is 15. So 1/5 of 75 is 15. That's one method. Let's try the different method for number 2. Number 2, instead of doing multiplication, instead of replacing the off with multiplication, let's replace it with an equal sign. And we're going to make an equivalent fraction. And rather than making this a fraction over 1, like 75 over 1, what we will do is make it now the denominator, so we make equivalent fraction. And the reason we're going to make it the denominator is simply because 75 is our whole number. So it's equal to 75. That's our whole number, the same as a 5 is. Over here our fraction has been broken into 5 pieces, and on this side it's been broken into 75 pieces. But what we're saying is the 5 is equal to 75, the same as 2 is equal to something. Well, what do we do to the 5 to make it 75? We multiplied 5 times 15. We must do the same to the 2. 2 times 15 equals 30. So 2/5 of 75 is 30. For the third question, let's try the other method. Let's try the method where we divide and multiply. We take this route this way, and we're going to divide by 5, and then we go this way and we multiply by 4, and that'll give us our answer. So 75 divided by 5 is 15, and 15 times 4 is 60. So 4/5 of 75 is 60. For questions 7 to 12, we're going to use the unit fraction to solve these. Okay? If we try to solve what 1 unit of 3 parts, 1 of 3 parts of 9 is, we understand that it would be 3. Okay, so what it's saying is we are dividing 9 divided by 3. 9 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3. We're going to divide all of them by 3. And what happens when we do that is simple. I'll show you. That will give us the unit. It will give us 1 part of 3 parts of the whole number. So 1 part of 3 parts. So if we take 9 divided by 3, it's going to give us 3. That is one part of 2 parts. Well, what would be 2 parts? If we count by 3's until we get to 9, we would count 3, 6, 9. So 1/3, oops, I erased that by mistake. 1 part of 3 parts would be 3, 2/3, or 2 parts of 3 parts would be 6, and 3 parts of 3 parts would be 9. Okay, and that's one way for us to use the unit to figure out what 2/3 of 9 is. So this is 3/9 is 1/3. 6/9 is 2/3. And 9/9 is 3/3. And right now it's asking us to look for the 2/3 of each. So right here. We can do the same with the 6, the 12, the 9. Use the unit fraction to find what 1/4 of each number is, and then just find the 3/4 number. Okay, so each whole you're going to divide it by 4, and that'll give you the value of 1, and then you just multiply that by 3, and it'll give you what 3/4 is. One way that I taught you was to replace the word off with the multiplication sign. So we take the off and we turn it into a multiplication sign. And you take the whole number and simply put it over 1. And now we have a fraction. So we just multiply it directly across. But before we multiply, remember to always cross-reference. It will make life a lot easier. Okay, so we're going to cross-reference 8 and 32. Okay, how many 8s do we find here, and how many 8s do we find here? Well, here we find 1 8. So we cross it out, and we only have 1 8 there. And up here we have 4 8s. And then we just multiply directly across, right? 1 times 1 equals 1. And 7 times 4 equals 28. Therefore, 7/8 of 32 is 28. Another way to do it is to make equivalent fractions. For example, 7/8 of 32, right? 7/8 of 32. What we could do is we try to make an equivalent fraction. This time we're not going to replace the off with the multiplication, but rather an equal sign. And we will not put the 32, we will not make it as the numerator of a fraction, but this time we're going to make it as the denominator. For example, 7/8 equals, rather than writing the 32 as the numerator, this time I'm going to write it as the denominator. And now I'm looking for the top numerator value. This is an equivalent fraction, so we have to find out what did we do to the 8 to turn it into 32. Well, we understand that we multiplied it by 4. 8 times 4 equals 32. So we must do the same to this 7. 7 times 4 equals 28. So 7/8 as an equivalent fraction would be 28 over 32. So 7/8 of 32 is 28, as you see here. Another way to do it, and it's quite possibly the simplest way, is to divide the whole number by the denominator. Divide this divided by this, multiply it into this. Let's see what happens. If I take this direction this way, and I decide to divide this way, and then once depending on the answer I get, I go this way, and I multiply with the 7, I will get my answer at the top. So let's see, 32 divided by 8 will be 4. And then 4 multiplied into 7 will give me 28. That's another way to do it. Remember, the reason we divided the 32 by 8, okay, it's because this is our whole number and this is our other whole number. What we mean is that this 32 is our whole number, and so is this 8. So as we write it out, we have 8 is 32. Our whole number on this side is broken into 32 parts, and on this side is broken up into 8 parts. But we're saying that they're equal because they are both the denominator on an equivalent fraction, But on this side it's just broken into 8, and this side is broken into 32. The reason we divide it by this, okay, is because we're trying to find how many 8s there are over here. Because we're saying that here we have 7 of them. Okay, we have 7 8s. See? 7 8s. 7 8s. So we're trying to figure out how many 8s are here so that I can understand what 7 would constitute as. So that's why I divided. I go backwards this way and divide it. And that'll give me 4. Which all it's telling me is that there are 4 8s right here. Well, but there are 7 8s of it here. Well, what would 7 of 8 of them be? Well, you just multiply these two numbers and it'll tell you that it is 28. And those are 3 ways, boys and girls, that I can show you how to find the fraction of a number or equivalent fractions.